the members of the public who have come along to speak. The first thing on the agenda is for the members of the public to speak. So you each have 3 minutes. What we can do in the case of yourselves, Alison and Chris, it is on the agenda, so we can suspend standing orders and bring that forward.
Okay.
We'll have a few housekeeping things to go through first, but we can do that.
Okay.
Okay? So when you're ready.
Well, Chairman, I'm not sure if you want me to speak to this now. I'm here basically because we put an application in for the community interest company that I'm a part of, and I know we put a grant application in. So I don't know if you want me to speak prior to that, or if you want me just to talk to it now, really, as you choose.
Speak to it now.
Yeah. Okay. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Doug Scarre. I used to be a freelance worker. I used to work for the council, Kirklees Council, but more recently I've been a freelance worker supporting community projects, and that work was getting bigger and bigger. This was all work that was contracted by Kirklees Council and also the NHS, actually, by the primary care networks. But as that's bedded down, we knew there was more work there, so we've created a new organisation in February 23 called the Valleys Anchor Community Interest Company. And our job is all about supporting community projects in the Home and Colne Valley. It's the only area we'd be working. So we formed that into a formal organisation. That means, one, we can apply for grants like we have done today. We can also secure contracts in our own name, which we've successfully done. But also we can hold money for other groups, and we're holding money for a couple of organisations now that haven't got their own bank accounts. So it means that new organisations have got an opportunity really to get some support from us, advice about policies, funding, volunteering, and also help get them off the blocks. We also work with very established organisations that are perhaps needing a rethink or a relaunch. Could be big capital projects they're putting in for, like at Honley Library with the extension there. We've been talking to Jenny and people. So that's what we do, and the reason that we've put in a bid for you today is we worked in Marsden. Some of you might remember the Place Standard, Ask Conley and other things there's been, and there used to be money that followed that, and there was a recent one done in Marsden, and as part of the exit for the 50 grand we were going to put in 5 grand's worth of a training programme. Unfortunately, Kirklees Council pulled the plug on the whole lot. But what we thought was we could actually deliver something similar to that in the Home Valley area. So the bid that's for you today is basically for a training programme, a bespoke training programme, covering things that we know voluntary groups always ask about funding, but particularly about funding strategies rather than where the funding is. Communication, how they can communicate effectively, particularly good use of social media, which not a lot of groups do very well. And the other thing is volunteering. The event you ran yourself, you knew there was a sort of demographic crisis in a lot of the community groups, that most of the volunteers that run them are older and most of them struggling to get new volunteers. So our bid is basically to do that. We hope we're going to have a contract from the council on the 1st of April. We don't know yet. We may also have a contract for some Families Together work, but it won't give us any money to pay third parties to come in and deliver training. We haven't got a room budget in that. So basically our bid is to get some support from the parish council to put on a joint training programme with targeted at local groups. We can change the topics. Right. Well, that's it basically. That's what we're here to do. That's the bid's for.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Me? I start?
Yeah.
Well, we've come because we know that allotment tenancy agreements are up for renewal, and as part of the council we have a biodiversity policy which would suggest that people don't use herbicides and pesticides, because we're having a bit of a crisis with nature, with 60% of our animals and insects gone. And so we were hoping that biodiversity policy, which is embedded in this council, would transfer to an allotment agreement. Yeah.
Yeah. I was specifically asking about glyphosate.
We are asking about glyphosate, but it's about pesticides and herbicides, isn't it? Glyphosate is the one.
I think Well, my understanding was that what we were going to
Just
go for.
glyphosate?
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean, I've come here to support, listen, we've been talking about glyphosate for a couple of years. She's trying to push Kirklees to do a trial to not have it in the Home Valley. The Home Valley Parish Council, if we got our act in order, that would support that potential. So that's where we're coming from. Okay, if I can finish in 3 minutes. As an allotment holder at Ferry Brow, I don't really think any allotment holders use glyphosate anymore. People go into it because they want healthy food that's pretty much organic. So I don't think you get any kickback from tenants if you included it in your tenancy agreement, but it would support the policy that the case committee agreed in relation to glyphosate and approaching Kirklees. I also wanted to point out, this is my allotment renewal, £95 Kirklees this year. I thought this committee might want to be aware of that fact. And there's still a waiting list, so if somebody takes the baton on and says, well, I don't want the allotment anymore if I can't use glyphosate, I don't think you'd struggle to get someone taking on that one.
can I do a PS to that? Just quickly, that the allotment provision by Kirklees also suggests that you don't use herbicides and pesticides. They don't name glyphosate, that's why I said it.
What's the difference between in general and glyphosate? Which are you asking for? Because you keep skipping.
No, not really skipping. It's just glyphosate is the universal Roundup that people use to clear allotments and what the council use on playgrounds and stuff like that.
And is it that you're asking for being?
That is my general thing, but I would just like to point out that Kirklees don't specify glyphosate when they recommend you don't use herbicides and pesticides. It's a more general thing.
So it's a recommendation, not a do not use.
No, it's a recommendation.
And so that's at the Kirklees.
That's Kirklees allotment website, which is why I said it like that, because that's what Kirklees say. But we have a responsibility to look after nature, and we've decided to do it. So that's one way we can start.
Okay. Not yet. When we come to it, we'll suspend standing orders and bring it forward, and then we can interrogate. Okay, thank you very much. With a few housekeeping things to go through before we can do that. Recording. You're probably aware that we're recording this session, and that will be going on to YouTube. Does anyone want to make another recording? Can't imagine why. Item 94, I accept apologies for absence.
As you will have seen in the emails, we had apologies from Councillor Bailey, Councillor Brooke, Councillor Greaves, Councillor Kirkby, and Councillor Rossborough and Councillor Ryler.
So can we consider those? Are we happy?
You're approving the reasons.
Approving the reasons, yes, not the absence. Thank you. To receive members and officers' personal and disclosable pecuniary interest in items on the agenda. Mary.
No, it's go ahead. I think you want. Right. So it's item 99, grants B 415, which is an application from Defence for funding for the
D-Day.
80
Councillor Holmes?
And mine, I'm a shareholder in the tech, and I'm not as good as Mary. I've not got the number for it yet, but I can find
There's
it.
about 8 in Power Tech.
Where is it? Oh, I found it. 431. No, which number am I giving here?
Just all the
Those
ones.
are the ones that
All the ones that apply to the tech.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Those are-
just 9 here because it's preceded by a previous number, which is
It's
this is it, the
Alice.
tech.
Number 9 on our list.
number 9 on the list of grants.
Yeah.
But I have two, Rich. I have 48, the Lions, and 70, the Hurricanes. Hurricanes and Lions, eh? Sarah?
So I'm declaring an interest, or whatever you want to call it. I'm shareholder in the tech, which is number 9. I am a trustee of Cafe 100, which is 16, and I'm a director and trustee of Valles Anchor, which is 21.
Any more for any more? Thank you. Item 96, to consider written requests for new VPIs. John, thank you. Item 97, to consider whether items on the agenda should be discussed in private session. Have we anything that we think needs discussing in private? No? Thank you. Item 98. Confirm the minutes of the previous committee meeting, which was held in December 24. Everyone all right with those?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, before we move on then, I'm going to suggest that we suspend standing orders to allow us to speak with our members of the public. So we have two separate things here. We've got the glyphosate, which is, I can't remember the number of that one.
109.
109, is it?
James on it.
And there's dose. So if we do the glyphosate one first, well, first, are we all right to suspend standing orders? Are we okay with that? So, glyphosate, would you like to kick us off with this?
You are saying,
Yeah,
Yes,
I just got a question really, because there's a question in the explanation about was this a recommendation, and I'm assuming that what we're wanting to do is to recommend to full council that there is an inclusion in the allotments, newly drafted agreements which says you may not use, not a recommendation not to use. So I'm just seeking clarification.
I would just say that the allotments agreements is under the remit of F&M. So this committee can make decisions about that.
Okay.
It doesn't need to be a recommendation to full council.
Perhaps the question is whether it's
So
a
is the word,
recommendation not to use
yeah,
it, or
is the
whether it's a
wording
you
then
will
to
not.
say thou shalt not?
Yeah.
Thank you.
And perhaps, Alison, could you?
Yeah,
remind
I
us?
would like it to be there, shall I?
Yeah.
Because my appeal to Kirklees Council, I actually spoke to the chairman of the environmental committee on Kirklees Council, which is Andrew Cooper, who said I was hoping he would take it on board and take it to the council, but he said no, you must write another letter, you must petition and get your facts right. But why don't you make it a policy that the Home Valley would be glyphosate free? And so that sort of added to our argument about setting an example. So if we have allotments, and we've only got a few up at home, let that be the start. We don't have damaging chemicals on those allotments.
Thank you.
Councillor Becker.
I'd perhaps just like to remind people that we have a biodiversity policy, and there's a couple of lines on the previous page where it says quite clearly that we, the Parish Council, will manage its land and property using environmentally friendly practices that would promote biodiversity. So I'm certainly all in favour of an alteration tenancy agreement, but I think it should be wider than just, I don't know how to say this with glyphosate, that it should actually cover
Herbicides and pesticides.
herbicides and pesticides in general.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's it.
Well, are we moving to approve that
Well,
then?
I've got a few things I'd I'd like to mention if nobody else has anything. I mean, I do understand the desire to be as eco-friendly as we possibly can, and no doubt about that. I think we're all aware of the sort of issues surrounding that. But glyphosate in particular, it hasn't been banned in the EU. It hasn't been banned in any of the countries in the EU, not outright. It's approved in the UK until December this year. And apparently the HSE are the ones that would change that in December of this year, if it changes. It is a generally available product list. You can go into B&Q and buy it. So what we'll be trying to do here is to stop people going into B&Q or the garden centre and getting something and then saying you can't use it. I do know some local authorities have tried to ban it, or they have banned it. In that case, they're banning it for their own use. So they say to their contractors, their workers, you cannot use this product, and they won't supply it. And I think, as you said, Kirklees haven't banned it at the moment. I think there's a few issues around it. As I said, it's freely available anywhere to the public. How on earth would we police it?
Sorry?
How would we police it?
How would you police it?
I think there could be a lot more products besides glyphosate, so where does this stop? Are we going to have a whole shopping list of things that we're not going to allow people to do? And I think there's an issue about, I will come to it.
Sorry.
I think there is an issue about the notice as well, given that these are up for renewal.
Yeah, in the next few weeks, yeah.
So it might seem a little bit short notice to be changing the contract at this stage. I've got to say, I think personally that it's better left with the people that are in authority on this, and that's the HSE. They're the experts, they're the ones that decide. I don't think we are. And if they do ban it, then we don't need to do anything because it won't be for sale. Alison and then Chris.
The EU has unfortunately not banned glyphosate, but Paris has banned glyphosate since 2017. Belgium does not allow any of these products to be sold over the counter for domestic and gardening use. So it's not true that it just is universally accepted. It's horribly overused in agriculture. And it's present in all our urine, actually, glyphosate. So, you know, it is very toxic. There are two reports, one commissioned by Monsanto and the people who make glyphosate that says it's not dangerous, and another one by a more independent body that says yes it is. And that's what people are arguing about. But several European countries have actually taken the decision themselves to ban it. And lots of councils in this country, actually, have taken it from themselves to ban it.
Introduced it.
Two have reintroduced. Two, but the others are holding firm. Yeah. But I mean, it's a moral argument, Andy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we want butterflies, insects, worms and hedgehogs, or do we want a weed-free park? You know.
I don't think that's my argument. My argument is we are not best placed to decide that. We have no authority. We are a parish council.
We have been told
I think we have authority over our own land, that's what we're asking about. We're not banning it from sale anywhere in the Home Valley, we're not banning it from you or anyone else using it on their own property. We're saying that we have control of a limited amount of property in this valley, and in conjunction with our own biodiversity policy, it would be good to say don't use glyphosate. In terms of your question about policing, I recognise that. It is difficult to police. I don't expect Rich to visit every week and do so frankly. But I think if you do it, you will find that there's a lot more people who favour it than against it, and fellow allotment holders will probably police it on our behalf. And, as I said, it's also part and parcel of sending a message to Kirklees that this is what we feel about it.
I think it's Councillor Holmes.
Well, In fact, you've just said more or less what I was going to say, and I think we should set an example. I think it is, you know, it is something that we've agreed to in our biodiversity policy, and we might not be, you know, I'm not pretending to be a scientific expert on this, but I think there is a significant amount of opinion that it is harmful. And I think, like Chris, you've just said, that we do have some control over the land that we own, and I think most allotment holders would be more than willing to comply with it. And it's
Councillor
just,
Lyons.
yeah.
So my question is, and I don't use pesticides or herbicides, I just ordered my super soil today for £900, which will do all my farm, which is a microbiome. It's like a bacteria that helps the soil, so there you go. But how are you going to stop Kirklees from spraying and cutting and chopping the grass verges with that chemical? Because I know contractors in this valley that are contracted to Kirklees and they do that.
But we're working towards that, and this is a step towards it.
Councillor Whitelaw?
Yeah, I mean, I understand where you're coming from, Chair. I think the point is here though that we are setting an example in relation to our own property, and we'll be making the argument to Kirklees that they can use it as a test bed, if you like. And to be honest, I think the fact that you know, Roundup etc. is available to purchase is a bit like saying, well, the cigarettes available to purchase, but you're not allowed to smoke in a, you know, civic building. It's about us setting an example for me and following our own policies.
Don't think you can comment on this one, Joe.
If you've suspended standing orders, can I not?
On your issue, yes.
Right, okay.
Okay.
Why don't we move to vote?
Yeah, I think we're at that point now. Would someone like to?
Does someone want to make a motion?
I propose that we recommend we change the terms of the lease to say that we do not want you to use any herbicides or pesticide. We can name glyphosate as well, including it on our own.
Can I suggest a minor amendment that we give the leaseholders 3 months and they don't have to do it overnight?
I think we could, but I don't think it's necessary personally, but if you feel that's necessary, I'll go with it.
Are we happy with that wording? Are we saying we're banning it, or are we just saying that we'd like you to?
From June?
No, I think we say we don't.
We're not allowing?
Yeah.
You'll be shut at doors. Yes, no, I think we should say you don't use it, you know, suspend agreement in the lease that you don't use it. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I suggest that we put some alternative products in the lease as a leaflet? How do you want?
Yes, so they know what they can use and can't use. That's a good idea.
Do you know? Because there is other alternative products out there. Yeah. Yeah. It's only. I'm trying to be I'm trying to be Switzerland. You know what I mean? Like, give me a break. It was going to be a no. I'm accommodating. So what I'm saying is that there is other things it can use that are organically based, bacterial based, that will help you instead of fertilisers and weed killers
We
and
should
pesticides.
produce a list of approved
Okay.
substances to be
Have
used.
we got a motion then to vote on now? I think we have, yes.
Jenny, have you got any clue how to word this? Anybody?
How are we going to do, you know, if we're saying you've got 3 months to do it, how's that going to sit with a lease that's going to say starts on the 1st of April?
Not
I
first
think
of it.
the usual practice would be to vote on the amendments first and then vote on the kind of substantive motion. So the amendment was to do
The
it
3
3
months.
months. So if we vote on that first and then we know what we're voting on.
Okay. So we're voting on the amendment to delay for 3 months.
Yes.
That was it. Right. Okay. Those in favour of that?
Carried.
It's in your favour this.
I know what it is. Thank you. I don't want 3 months, I have it now.
And Lyons?
Next.
And abstaining.
So that's 3-3, isn't it?
Which chair you want?
Casting
You've
vote.
got casting votes.
Well, I would have to move to object to that then.
So what you're objecting
So I
to?
object to the amendment.
Okay.
Okay, so we're voting on
So you've got a substantive
now we-
motion, which is to amend,
to
Which
do
is-
it
amend the
immediately.
tenancy agreement.
Yes.
Yeah.
You okay with that?
Mhm.
Wording, okay. So who's proposing that? That was yourself, Jenny, wasn't it?
I'll second it.
Seconded. Those in favour of that? Okay.
Okay.
And against?
Okay.
That's everyone, isn't it? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'll do your leaflet, I'll send it, you can check it.
You are free to go now if you wish. You're also free to stop.
You seem such a wonderful group, I'm going to say. Stay and listen.
So if we can move to this grant application. I'm desperately trying to find it.
21.
So it's John, the
21. Okay, so we've heard what Doug's has had to say. Does anybody want to question this one?
I just have some concerns about, I've just been signing the finances off, and we have already sent money via service provision to this charity. And I appreciate that it's training, but I don't feel it's our responsibility to be giving this grant money, and also it's for room hire to the tech, and we already give a lot of money to the tech. The venue, it says venue, the tech. It says that you said you were struggling for room hire, to organise room hire, that is at the tech. I have a problem with the fact that we give a majority of our grant money to the tech, and I'm not happy with, I don't see what benefit it, you know, the training is our responsibility, I don't see it. So,
Chair, point of order. Is that accurate that we give the majority of our grant money to the tech?
we do what? So,
give a majority of our grant money to the tech.
no.
No, I thought not. That's inaccurate and out of order.
Councillor Black.
This application, I think, is in line with our strategic priorities, which is about maintaining the rich tapestry of community groups and supporting them. However, I find it quite difficult to make a decision about one grant application in isolation when we've got so many to look at. And we know that the bids greatly outweigh the amount of money available. So I don't know whether this is feasible, but I would suggest that we wait until we get to that point rather than make a decision at this point.
I just have a couple of comments and I'll welcome to Doug's. I think you mentioned that Kirklees withdrawn funding, which, you know, if we pick up all the funding that Kirklees have dropped, we're going to be in a mess ourselves. I think the other thing is that the money doesn't go directly to fund anything, it's just training. It's not going to those people that are running whatever event that is ultimately going to be funded. So it's sort of just one
It's like for wages, isn't it?
Well, there's a portion clearly does go on to wages, yes. Councillor Holmes. Sorry, it was Doug's, wasn't it? Doug's,
Well, I'll come back, I'll answer all the questions at the end. I'll come back on the various points that we raised at the end if you want to make them all now. Just write them down so I know what to.
Okay, Councillor Holmes.
Well, I mean, it's a very unusual application, so I do find it quite interesting, and it's harder to evaluate than some of the others. But it does seem, I would like to know which groups you have been working with in the Home Valley. You know, the ones that you would deliver the training to.
Okay? Yeah. Do you want to come back on those points? In order, our organisation's never had a penny piece from this council, so I'm not sure what the point that was made earlier about the money from service provision. We've attended in our own time the parish event you put on, and we've supported some groups that have applied in our contracted times. So there's never been any historic arrangement between the parish and the Valley's Anchor. It's a relatively new organisation, 2023. I do the books myself, so I know exactly where the money's come from. And it's 100% come from Kirklees Council, the NHS, and then we've had some money from Ukrainian support work, so we did a little bit of work on that early on as well. The issue about the use of the tech, I was ringing around trying to find room rates because we had to put a budget down, and the tech obviously is probably one of the better facilities for training because the rooms lend themselves to that. There is other rooms we could use, Honley Library, and we're not really wedded to it. It partly depends what's available in an evening, the parish church and the Methodist hire out spaces. So we're not necessarily, I had to find a budget because this is a programme that's not even planned yet to find out what an appropriate hourly rate is. And you can use it in back rooms of pubs and things, but it's not really appropriate to do that type of training in there. Kirklees haven't necessarily withdrawn any money from these groups or from us. We just don't know yet whether we're going to get that contract. But even if that money was there, that contract doesn't include these elements. So this is an extra element that we'll be doing as a bespoke package for the Valley. In terms of beneficiaries, in terms of groups, we've worked with about 200. When I was doing it as a freelancer, I started keeping a list of who we've worked with. Probably in the last 3 years, 2 years, since 23, should I say, I'd estimate pretty confidently we've worked with over 120 in the Home and Con Valley. And probably at least 60 of those have been Home Valley groups. In terms of practical examples, the bids that are before you today, the Home Firth Hurricanes never applied for a beam in their life. I've sat down with them and worked on that bid. Home Firth Music Festival went through a period of not existing, and then they've come back, and I went to that meeting and I worked with them on that bid. Open Talk Women's Mental Health Project, who happened to meet at the Tech. Again, they've never had any money, never had any organisation. I worked with them on that bid. And we've now got the Men's Mental Health Group, the sort of sister project or brother project to that project that's meeting at the Tech. I've talked to them about this. I've talked to Just Coop. I've worked with Honley Library. I've worked with a whole range of different groups up and down the valley. We had an event in Marsden Mechanics the other week where we had 50 people came from 27 different groups. All the people that were in the knit and natter groups, community cafes, all that type of stuff. And we gave them information about training, support, funding. So we have got a very broad reach, and we work with environmental groups, youth groups. We've done a lot of work with Kirklees Youth Alliance. I was instrumental to the money, that the £25,000 that goes to Kirklees Youth Alliance continue to work with Capital 100 and others. So I work with all those people. I suppose the question about why it's a difficult grant, and I wouldn't expect you to make the decision in front of me, because I think this is a problem. I think you're always better making the decision at the end when you've seen all of the offer, not choose the first one because it's first come, first served, doesn't work. If that training event on funding, for example, enables one person in that group to access £5,000, then that's a valuable thing. If that training enables one group to find 3 more volunteers to sustain them, that's a good thing. So that although the money isn't going to a direct thing like a trumpet or a bench or whatever, it's about increasing the capacity of those organisations to grow in the future. That's why they all ask about funding, they all ask about volunteers, and they all ask about how we can get our word out. So that's why we've gone that route. But I understand there's a challenge.
We're going to have to do this in terms. We're pretty sure the time anyway. I think Councillor Lyles.
I just don't understand why you're not asking them to pay for it. Because it's only a small amount of money. All I'm asking is, why is it for us to pay it? If I'm setting a business up and I need website advice or something, I have to pay somebody for that. So why is it not? If we need help in the council, we seek advice from people and we pay them. I just don't understand why, because it's a community interest, whatever, that it's down to the council to pay the bill.
Can I suggest, in line with what Councillor Black was saying, would be better considering this, along with all the others,
I've got a question.
very quickly.
Would it be possible for you, along with the people you train, to come up with some sort of, as a result of this has improved or that has, because we have to, we are more and more demanding of people who get grants to say we want to see what happened with them, and it's something we want to do. So would you be able to follow up your training?
Well,
I don't mean they got 1.5 volunteers, but they just something.
In answer to that, I think, yes, we would. I think we want to do that anyway, partly because something that's buried in the bid, there is an opportunity to request that it's an ongoing programme. So we'd want to speak to those people to say, one, did it help you? Did it make any difference? What was the outcomes of that? And what would you want us to do if we were to do a training programme next year? What elements would you like us to focus on? So they would be part of our ongoing communications, and we'll definitely be able to give you that feedback as part of our evaluation.
Okay, can I stop it here? Thank you very much. And thanks, Dennis. If we go back to the agenda, I think we're on 99 grants, grant evaluation reports. So we noted the list of grants awarded. Which to report.
Well, hopefully people have accessed the evaluation reports that I uploaded a few days ago. I don't know what people thought about them. I suppose I just want to make a few points about some of them. You remember the situation last year with Home First Food and Drink Festival. I don't know whether people remember we had a situation where we'd awarded them 1,500 and then they'd effectively given away 1,500 of their surplus to as donations to charities. I asked the Food and Drink Festival, what they've done this year about that, and it seems they're still giving money to the charities. So they did say that if they had realised they were going to lose their sponsor, that they wouldn't have given away their money to charities. But this is something I very pointedly advised them last year. I wrote to him and said, we were concerned that you've given your surplus away. You should be securing the future of your own organisation first, and then thinking about charity when you don't need public money. So just be aware of that, I suppose. We did get evaluation reports from all of the organisations who have applications being heard today, so there's nobody in breach in that sort of sense.
Okay.
Can I just ask Rich, if the ones that were on the minutes from the last meeting, have those come in now? Because there was some outstanding there and I couldn't find them when I looked on our website.
Do you mean ones who have not got applications?
Yeah.
No, I mean I haven't even sent them out yet. It's only 6 months ago, isn't it?
They were outstanding last time we met. It was Upperthorne. I think I can note of them.
Haydedge certainly haven't.
Upperthorne Village Hall, Haydedge, WI, Upperthorne Cricket Club.
Upperthorne Village Hall have emailed me to tell me that the project is complete, but they haven't completed the evaluation report yet.
Okay, right. That's
I didn't chase them because they didn't have applications in this particular meeting.
Okay, right. And Upperthorne Cricket Club, those are the ones that I'd should have visited to chase up. So do I still need to chase them up?
No.
They've come.
Well, they haven't come, but you don't really need to chase them yet.
On the minutes it said councillors will follow the ones up in their area.
Have you been like a bailiff?
I was hoping they would come in so that they didn't need to do that.
Certainly don't worry about the cricket, don't worry about the village hall, because I have had contact with them. I just haven't had the evaluation report, but they've sent me receipts and told me that it's complete.
Okay.
So we note in Holly Village Community Trust up to incomplete projects. and they've submitted 2 new applications.
Yeah, so I suppose the point of that is if you've not completed 2 projects, do we give them money for another 2 projects? You know, there's something to
As
bear
long as
in-
it depends on if it will
something to bear in
independent.
mind.
Carlsmoor Cricket Club, again, they have a new application in, so I think, you know, that should be considered as part of that application.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the point was, the parish council gave them 2,500 last year, they asked for 5,000, the parish council awarded them £2,500, but the expectation they would find the 2,500 somewhere else. You know, 6 months have gone on, and is it a year ago that was it?
Yeah.
A year's gone on, and they come back and they've not found the 2,500, so, kind of, you know, it's not achieved what the parish council was wanting to do. Although having said that, it is obviously an important thing with climate emergency, you know, it's a priority of the parish council.
To note, the officer will be contacting award winners from September and next month for their grant evaluation reports, which is what we just said, isn't it? And to consider any further actions regarding grant evaluation reports. Have we any further actions on them? No? Okay. So B, grant applications. To note, if I can speak, to note the list of grant applications being considered tonight against budget lines 4315 and 4405. Rolling grants awarded previously have been deducted from the budgets. Can we note that, please? Was that a question, Jenny?
It was a question, yes. Can I just ask, were they, those 2 pockets of money, the community assets and the projects and events, can we easily move from one to the other?
It's
Can
not a
we
question of,
via- is that the word?
yeah, exactly. It's not a question of easily, it's not your decision. You could, you know, the committee can ask council to do it, basically. I mean, I think Councillor Wilson's
We'll come to
point
that.
of view is
We'll
that,
look into that, so
yeah,
that's-
there is an agenda
there is a
item
way of
about it.
doing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, to note the full list of grants awarded since 2020, can we note, please? To note RFO's report on applicants tonight, prior applications and awards. So I just very kindly put the list together of that. As part of the considerations of grants, the committee might wish to consider where awards are offered as a rolling multi-year award. A rolling grant agreement pro forma can be used if the committee wishes to offer a rolling award. And this is the item that Jenny was referring to. There's something of an imbalance between the 2 budget lines. So we've got 28,240 in 4315 and only 4,702 in 4405.
That's because we went a bit crazy.
So we need to consider how we're going to manage that imbalance. And I guess really that 2 options, isn't there? One is that we just say, well, we've only got what we've got in that budget, and when we've spent it, we've spent it. Or we amalgamate the 2 via in, but that means that we have to recommend that to full council to actually do that.
Rich, what's the grant total amounts for the 28,240? Have we got enough?
No, not enough in either, if we
Oh,
award
yeah.
everything. But there is a huge imbalance.
Yeah, I mean, we've tried to correct it for next year. So next year it's 50 and 25. This year it's 53 and 20. So it should be a bit better next year. It might still be a little imbalanced. I'm not sure.
And I think practice has been in the past to via across, hasn't it?
We've varied certainly in the last couple of years. Yeah.
So whether that covers our views or not, I don't know.
Well, it seems to me that we don't know what grants you're going to get in, you know, so you don't know whether they're going to be community assets or projects. So it seems you can only estimate what they're going, well, guess really, what a grant is. So the ability to sort of vary it and move it across and combine that amount of money, to me seems eminently sensible. You know, there doesn't seem a reason not to do that. You know, if we're going to be looking at these grants today and have to decide whether we're going to give the money or not, we sort of do need to know that the money is there, whether it's in the correct pot or whether it can be easily moved across. Seems important to me.
Thank you, Councillor Whiteman.
Is this an historical situation that we've just had these two pots? And what, if so, what's the argument for continuing to have two pots rather than combining them?
I suppose simply that you know you've got stuff that's apportioned for specific use. It's as simple as that. I mean, we certainly discussed it in the working group whether we just aggregate it into a single pot. I think there was a lot of discussions. Obviously, they're quite different in terms of the amount that you award. So there was dialogue about that. So one's at 5,000, one's at 1,500. So we didn't reach a point where we were trying to work out whether we would get rid of the 1,500 and just do it piece by piece. It's certainly something that I know Councillor Wilson's wanting the grants working group to do further things, aren't you? It's something we're discussing. We're not discussing it this meeting because there's so many other things to do, but certainly next meeting I think it would be something to consider.
I think another thought might be that there are two different levels of grant, aren't there? One is 5,000 and the other is 1,500. So if you just have one pot, you might get all £5,000 applications coming in. If they were all the same
I
value.
think you could still keep them. Projects are very different to community assets, aren't they? So when you're applying, you can still be applying to, for it to be a project, an event, or an asset. Those, the applications can still bear that in mind. But then you've got one pot of money that allows, because as I said, you really don't know whether you're going to have community asset applications coming in or projects coming in. That you don't know that until the 31st of February or no, January was the applications had to be in, isn't it? So
Very well said.
Councillor Blacker and then
Sorry, just seeking information. If we decide tonight they want to make a recommendation to move, say, 10,000 from community assets to events, could we make decisions tonight on that basis, or do we have to work within the limits that we've got for tonight?
I think you should work to what you want to do.
Okay.
I think we would have to advise any award non-winners that we can't guarantee the award. Some we can award obviously, but there's some that we won't be able to. We might have to say it'll be delayed until next council meeting, which is not long away. Obviously, we've only got another month of the year. So.
I think sometimes though that it helps us keep to a budget.
Yeah,
Sometimes we can go a bit frivolously happy, aren't we, in September, and we have to remember that we've got February grants, and sometimes we do run out of money quite fast, don't we? So having those budget lines does make us conform a little bit, and it makes us not give full grants. It makes us think about giving half grants and to seek them to find the money elsewhere, which they then fail to do and come back anyway. But it does make us cut our cloth accordingly and not get too frivolous.
I think the decision for tonight though is whether we recommend firing money from one to the other.
Yeah.
Longer term we can
That's
discuss.
the decision for tonight.
Now, could we propose a motion that we go through the community assets grants and then whatever's left over, that we then via that to events?
I second that.
Okay, those in favour?
Sorry, can you repeat that please? I couldn't hear.
Basically we're going to go through
the ducks.
We're going to work out how much.
Sorry.
Go through the community assets ones, which come first.
I'm sorry, Anna, I can't hear you.
That's why I was saying it, because Andy's got a sore throat.
We'll go through the community assets grants first, which we will be doing anyway, and then we can see what money we've got left, and we can recommend firing across then to the other one.
Okay, thank you.
Have I got that right?
Yes.
Yes.
can I just say, Beth, I think we should be, when we work through all these grants, we should be aware that there is, when you combine the pots of money, there is big shortfall. We have to consider them on their merits as to whether they are worth spending on and according to our priorities. And I think, that even if we gave all the money to all of the grants for community assets and projects, there is only a small shortfall. So I think we've got to say whether they are good projects or not, and you know, on their merits, and whether they meet our criteria.
I think you're right in saying we might go through all these and say, we haven't got a shortfall.
Yeah,
Happy days.
yeah.
Do you think? So, what we're proposing is that we do move providing across after we've done to community
And
assets.
we know what's required.
Those in favour of that? Budget line 4315, community assets. Since the clerk is now qualified.
Well, it's obviously unqualified before completely.
The legal powers we have hitherto needed to identify to make awards are no longer required. The legal powers for all grants is now general power of competence under the Localism Act 2011.
Can I just, sorry, I'm interrupted again. Can I just say that needs changing on the website as well, because in our blurb about how to apply for a grant, it does put it into these, you've got to fit into this category or,
Thank you.
you know, that category. Now it's just Jen's competence that's.
She's made us all.
Oh, we're all competent.
We are now a competent council, thanks to Jen.
Have you anything to add to that, Jen?
I feel much better now that we're all competent.
In summer, competent in summer.
Thank you. So we're now moving on to the grants. Just before we do that, we don't have Glenn here, so we haven't got a vice. And there are two that I will have to drop out of, so would somebody like to take that role on for those two? Thank you very much.
You probably need to make a vote on it.
Vote on that? Thank you. So number one, grant application 46 New Mill Community Garden. This is £655 towards equipment and signage for the garden. No previous grants awarded. They don't have any paid staff. Their reserves are only £289, so they're not swimming in money. Anybody want to make any comments on this one?
I'd like to propose that we give them the whole amount. I mean, they're brilliant glazes and amazing work. Let's just, it's a very modest amount. Let's just grant them 655.
Yeah, I agree.
Any other comments? Agree?
Agreed, yeah, definitely.
£27 Scots Cricket Club. £2,904 towards outdoor seating. There are grants rising the past of £5,000. They've got £5,000 in reserves. It doesn't appear that they've asked for funding from anywhere else, only ourselves.
Is the outdoor seating purely to watch cricket?
They do other stuff down there. They do they do all like loads of lots of random stuff, community events.
Outdoor stuff.
Yeah, they do outdoor stuff. They do like bouncy castles and stuff.
Yeah,
That sort of
that's
stuff.
okay.
Noise going on in summer. You can hear from my house. So I don't go, but I do know they do lots of other stuff.
Any other comments?
I think it's a group that had quite a lot of money in the past, and I think we could give them some, I certainly don't think we should give them all. So I think that is one where we could save some money.
I was thinking that, yeah.
Half of it. So you suggested half?
Yeah.
Yes, we
Half,
have
yeah.
They like to do half.
Or say,
So,
I mean, they
50%,
don't fit our criteria of being one in greatest need either, you know, they're quite a wealthy club. They
Yeah.
do, you know, it's quite reasonable to support them to some extent.
they're 8 paid staff, so they're not.
Yeah, exactly,
freelancers, are
yeah, so, you know, I mean,
So you're going to propose that then?
I'm not sure whether half's too much. I don't know whether else this is me being a commit me, so I'm not, I just think we don't give them the full amount, I'm not,
We could review these when we get to the end. anyway.
when we're trying to balance the books, but.
Yes, we could say we will give them a proportion and then see what we've got left.
We could give them for the table the 8-seater circular one with wheelchair accessibility at 850, and they can, you know, find the money for the other, so, you know, that's one suggestion.
Pick one.
Pick one, yeah.
I would suggest 50% at this point, but we can review it later on.
Yeah, we can review it later.
Maybe call.
Are we all happy with that? Okay, thank you. Grant applications 48.
Oh, is this
Oh,
me?
Andy
Yeah.
Lyons.
Yes,
Do I
this
actually
is
have to
for-
leave at this point, Clark, or
Yes, please.
can I just, because we're already.
Yeah, you have to leave.
Are you actually leaving the room?
Yeah, you have to leave, you have to stand in the
It's
corridor.
on your DPI, I think, isn't it?
Yes.
It's on your
Yes.
written.
You can't nod and wink. One pat, play again.
I'm going to glare through this window.
Okay, so this is an application for 435 for works on Santa's sleigh. Does anybody have any queries, questions or anything?
Do you know anything about Santa's sleigh?
I do, I know, they were in kind
Have you sat on it many times?
I met the person that told them to apply to us at a function, and I met them and they said Santa's sleigh's falling to bits, and I said, well, apply to the.
I propose we give.
I think it's a very good call.
All those in
Can
favour?
I just make a point though? You know, it is part of our, you know, our remit on this that we don't give money to, you know, fundraisers. This is a fundraiser.
No.
Well, no, hang on, I'm going to rule that it is community entertainment.
No, I-
Go around the villages.
I think that is a very
The children like it,
That is
and
a-
I think it enriches our
yes.
community.
I think that is absolutely a fair point.
And I
but
think
it is
fundraising is a side effect.
Yes.
So can we vote again in the light of knowing it's a fundraising?
I was going to say that they do apply to funding elsewhere, but I do recommend we do approve the funding because it's not a lot they're asking. They're not asking a lot of money.
No, it's not.
It's not us asking for jackpot money. So
So I'm going to ask us to vote again in the light of knowing that some fundraising happens, but all those in favour?
Meets our criteria for social engagement.
Yeah. Thank you. So can I come back in? He has got
Further down. Only Village Community Trust next.
So, you know, just remember that they have got 2 projects that are not complete, so it's something to bear in mind.
Can I? Sorry. I think the thing about these guys and not being complete is what they do is planting and growing and tilling and all that stuff, and it won't necessarily be complete before it's time to be doing the next one. They're season sensitive quite often, aren't they?
You're on the hay bulb.
Can I just...
Don't go as first, Andy.
I think we've given very good reasons as to why they haven't spent the previous money, and you know they're very valid reasons. And I think this fits our criteria of environmental, and I say we actually approve it.
Can I just say that £1,000 for a hay bob is exceedingly cheap, so they've clearly not gone to Eric Townends and gone, can I have you £130,000? So they've sourced a cheap second-hand hay bob, and I just think that in the agricultural world, that is absolutely a bargain. As long as it functions fine. Yeah, I want to know where they've got one of them for £1,000. So I don't think that that is unreasonable. And it's something that will all, you know, I mean, will be there forever as long as they agree to it. So,
I mean, one thing I have sort of questioned generally with their applications, they always say they've got this reserve of £50,000 that they need for the reservoir, for the dam.
that's to stop people's houses from flooding though, considering what happened on Boxing Day.
Damn, it's an expensive thing if it goes wrong.
Have they got insurance?
It has gone wrong, yeah.
Do they really need this 50,000 sat there doing nothing?
Well, as long as they're not, you know, relying on Kirklees or Yorkshire Water, then probably, yeah, to be fair.
See, a chunk of money to be sat about doing this.
I think they're doing it to be absolutely bulletproof about being sued or suddenly getting in debt, because they do an awful lot of other stuff, but they leave that.
I'm not necessarily criticising it, I'm just saying I don't quite understand it.
I think they're worried about the dam, or the potential for the dam.
Can I just give you a bit of concept? If you move earth half a metre either way, and for example, if I filled my quarry in and put a nice water feature in there with a water wheel, I would be liable for the movement of that soil for 50 years. So if one day it rained a little bit too much and took all of it down the valley, I would be responsible for that mudslide. So I can genuinely completely see why you'd need a backup for a dam. Just like, I don't know Homley, I don't have much anything to do with it other than occasionally playing football there with my son. So I am genuinely saying you can see it.
So okay, if we park that and we're parking the fact that there's two sort of outstanding grants, we need to consider the actual application on its own merit. I think Councillor Lyons has suggested that that's quite a
bargain.
sum of money. Anyone else want to add anything to this?
So you know, it's basically, so when you've cut your grass, it spins it out to dry it, and then you row it up, and then you bale it. But you would be cutting it and spinning it out. Well, you wouldn't be getting my arm movements, so would you? And you'd be spinning it out so it rots down properly. That's why I will be doing that.
Whether lose your arms, you're in trouble, aren't you?
Yeah, I've still got my gob though, so it'll be fine.
So, what's the thoughts on this one? Are we
Yes, approved.
approving this one?
Yeah.
Everyone in favour of that? Thank you. Number 5, Waverley Village Community Trust, £5,000 towards tree works for Magda. So their total outlay they've got is 8,820 and they're asking for £5,000 from us. Thoughts, anyone?
It does just say it's for safety reasons as well, an area that's used by the public, and it is used a lot by the public, so it's not just, you know, about keeping it looking pretty or trim, you know, that. And, you know, they're not asking us for the full amount, and again, it meets our criteria of an environmental area that's very important to Homley, so, I mean, I'm not saying we're going to, I think we should give them a significant amount, if not all of it.
We suggest a percentage again, but perhaps not 50%.
I do feel £5,000 of an £8,000 billing are complete responsibility. I would be willing to go £4,000 and then they find £4,000. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't think that's unreasonable.
Shall we do to the end?
I just want to check the amount really, because it says tree works in Magdale at the top of the project budget plan, but then talking about the request from HVPC, it says 882. Is that just their mistake that we need to deduct?
I think they're putting the wrong column.
Yeah.
I think it's 5k.
It's fine.
Can I propose we give them a a proportion of this one and we decide how much at the end when we do the others.
Agreement?
Yeah.
Thank you. Number 6, Brockles Green Spaces. New planting. Not had a grant from us in the past, no paid staff. No reserves. They've asked for 1,029, but they're putting £150 in from reserves they haven't got.
They're just put together.
Yeah, the right to do.
This is a new group. We've been coming to our reference group on the local fund, and it fits clearly with our strategic priorities and climate emergency. And the applicant proposed that we give it.
I was going to suggest the same.
Yeah.
It's like a green space, it's planted, it's, there's, you know.
Plus it shows that we are very interested in Brockles.
We have it all from Brockles apart from toilets.
Okay, all in favour of that one? Thank you. Number 7, Hepworth Band. Refurbishing the band room or part of it. They've had £7,389 from us in the past. They've £4,800 in reserves. It's a £40,000 project, but they're asking us for £5,000. And they have secured other funding of 11,000 from other sources. They're obviously quite a big organisation in some senses.
They're very good at that.
Income of 71,000, they're not exactly penniless, but nevertheless. And they have 1 part-time paid staff.
They're one
That's
of
probably the
they're
conduct,
one of
isn't it?
our most successful bands. I mean, they are highly regarded as a band.
Very good band.
Is this another one? Sorry.
They do contribute a lot to the community generally, and they do work with a lot of other groups as well. You know, they bring other groups into their building, and I think they are part of our heritage, so definitely we should give some, but again, maybe this is one where we're balancing out how much money we've got, but definitely approve in principle that they should have. In their last spot.
I think a percentage.
Yeah.
Okay for everyone?
Yeah.
Thank you. Number 8, Cartwest Moor Cricket Club. This is the one for the solar panels. They are asking us for £2,500. We gave them £2,500. So was that in November or was that last year?
I think it was last year.
Last year.
But the basis of that was that we were expecting them to find the other 2.5.
Oh, I see. This is the second one.
It was cheap though. Batteries and solar panels came in at like 5. It was cheap. It was.
Were they told that they should find the other half?
I believe so.
Or were they simply told we were only giving them half?
They asked. No, I don't suppose that. They contacted me after the award and said, why did we only give half? And I said,
Because we're skinny. It's the truth, isn't it?
No, we need to know.
It's not
yeah,
true.
I don't think I did say that, to be honest.
Right, okay. I mean, if they weren't told, they were expected to raise it elsewhere.
I have told them since, actually,
Yeah.
in the sense that, you know, there was an email exchange in the last couple of months
Yeah.
where he asked me whether it was worth applying again, and I did make the point then that
It's difficult, isn't it?
Thinking as a principle, though, if you know, this is what we allow organisations to do, we'll just keep coming back. We get half this year, oh, we'll sit on that for a year and then come
That's
back
fine.
again.
If we've got enough in the budget to give them half in 2 years running.
But if they haven't
That's
spent
fine.
it for a year,
Well, they can't spend it till they get the other half. We don't give it on, I mean, it's not like some of the heritage lottery funds you apply for, or lots of grants where you have to show you've got the other half before they'll do it. We don't ask that, do we?
We have done it.
Councillor Blackett,
Yeah,
Councillor
but we
Holmes.
did, we did.
I mean, I think the assumption by any community group would be, or any group, would be that if you get half the money, then you have to jolly well go around and try and find the other half somewhere else. It just seems to me blindingly obvious that would be the case. I don't think you need to be told that specifically. I feel distinctly uncomfortable about awarding more to the 2,500 that we awarded last time, so I would suggest we don't award anything in this round.
Councillor Holmes.
Well, it does say here they successfully raised 5,000 from Bright Green Trust and 2,000, so they have managed to raise money elsewhere. They've not just come to us for it. And it, to say they made an effort to it. So, and solar panels and they're on our list of things we want.
Janet, so I think what happened was that the overall bill was £5,000.
No, the overall bill was 8,970. They asked us for 5,000 and we only gave them 2.5.
Right, so they raised the rest and they're just 2.5 short then?
They've raised some and they're now asking us for 2.5. Are we wasting that 2.5 that we've already given them, or do we ask them for that back? That.
I wasn't suggesting that.
No.
I know you said it, Jim.
Good idea,
Councillor Michael.
It does sort of look a bit like, to me, we gave you half last time, so because you only gave us half last time, we're going to come back for the rest in this one, which, and I know they've got their 5,000 from the Green Trust, but
I think perhaps on this one we should spend it out and say, really stop it, but and here's a reason why we don't do that.
I just checked last year's application to see whether the Bright Green Trust was a new award that they got since the first application, and it was a new award, it wasn't on the original application. So we have got a significant amount of it, just not all of it.
I'm not being funny, but £2,500 isn't a lot to raise when you rent the clubhouse out every week. We play football and you play cricket and there's a bar up there and I don't want to sound like a tight cow, but there's a few, you know what I mean? There's not many pubs for them to go elsewhere to. Do you know what I mean? It's not hard for them to raise that sort of money. I donated half of, I'm just somebody who raised quite a bit of money in a raffle. It's not a lot, is it?
I'm going to suggest that we don't award this, but that we spell it out why. Then not take back the 2,500.
It's not going to be tight.
So have we wasted the money then if they can't actually do
Yes,
it?
if they can't raise money for solar panels,
They will
we've
raise
thrown
money.
away £2,500 last year.
They'll get it, or they'll give it us back.
If they don't, they'll return it to us.
Yeah.
But I don't think
That's inflation. But
That's
I
why.
think we could give them a token donation. You can have 500 quid, but raise the rest yourself.
If it's a point of principle, we've got to kind of make it a point of principle, haven't we?
Yeah.
and they have raised some more money, Jenny, through grants. But what they need to do
Raise a bit more.
is try a bit harder somewhere else. Yeah, washing cars and stuff. You know what I mean? Try and raise it other ways.
I don't feel strongly about this.
I think when you look as well, it could actually make the project cheaper. It's actually solar panels and batteries. We don't have to have both.
They do say in the application, don't they, and other sources to be identified if required.
I think we reject this one.
Yeah.
Personally.
Let's vote on it.
Yeah, I'm moving to reject it.
I second that.
And against?
Against.
Stay.
Jenny
can't do it.
Okay, thank you.
It's not because we don't believe in the project.
No.
It's because we've done that all in 12 months.
So number 9 is Home Earth Tech. So those that's
Eva?
So you have to leave if you're anything to do with tech. Okay, Jenny?
Why?
Because that's
That's
the rules.
got an interest.
It's on your
That's
DPI.
interest.
That's the rules received.
Oh, sorry, I was meaning why.
Oh, never mind. I do find it strange, you know, just the,
That's what we've always done. You've thrown me out many times, Pat.
yeah, but enough of that. Councillor Lyons.
Can I just say that I do not agree with paying for this grant because we've already replaced this kitchen equipment 2 years ago and we're paying £1,500 towards the electric bill, which I would be alright about. We've already given a grant for warm spaces earlier on in the year, or September, but on the tech, they offer free tea and coffee, wine and cheese nights, come and talk to us about stuff. If they charged a £5 for a ticket to go and do something, they would be able to generate this money that they're now asking us for. So I just don't agree with it. I really do struggle. We've replaced this kitchen equipment 2 years ago. I don't know why we're replacing it again.
I think there's actually should be 2 separate applications here, one for energy and one for the kitchen equipment. I think they're 2 separate things. Quite why they're trying to roll them together, I don't know. For the energy, I think in principle I don't like the idea of us paying utility bills to any organisation. If they haven't got the revenue to manage that, then you question whether they've got a business. I don't think that's the case. I think they can.
We've paid their electricity bill before.
Yes.
The gas bill, I think it was.
Well, whichever.
I'm just saying in principle for me, I don't think it's something we ought to be doing. They could go bust tomorrow, couldn't they? We've lost that. All we've done is given it to British Gas or N-Power. So I do see 2 separate things. The kitchen equipment, I think, is a separate entity, whether we support that or not. And it's clearly different kitchen equipment to last time.
But why are we replacing kitchen equipment? Do we replace kitchen equipment for anybody else?
Well, nobody's asked us, but we would if
We
they
have
asked.
done before. We have done.
Anyone
Can I
any views
suggest
on
that we, I'm not proposing until I've heard other opinions, but can I suggest we give them money for the equipment but not for the energy? Because I don't think it's sustainable. They need to find a way of paying their energy bills.
Sorry.
One thing I've got concerned is the reserves, because it is a bit low, should we say, compared to bigger organisations. You don't see big organisations having that low of a reserve, and it's a bit ridiculous that they use the reserve to spend for a car park than to save it just in case the building might collapse or whatever. You know, I'm just saying, you know, but yeah, I'm just concerned about the reserves, that's all. That's all.
Councillor Bracken?
I was going to agree that with the kitchen equipment.
Anything else?
I just want to say no. Because a lot of the grants that are further down are for room rentals, are for money towards this, money towards that, that all feed into the tech. It says on the grant application, on the website, that they offer free tea and coffee, free wine and biscuits, come and talk to us and socialise. If you can afford those things, you should be a little bit more frivolous, you know, and your bank account pocket should be a little bit deeper than they are. If you can offer free wine and cheese nights, you can pay for your own kitchen equipment and you can pay your own electric bill. So I move to refuse.
Councillor Brown?
Echoing from Johnny, because I've got concerns with these free events they're doing, because with other community groups and organisations, if they're difficult finding the money, whatever, and they do these events, they do charge, or they say to people, can you give a donation?
I think we're two, sorry.
Wait a minute, she said.
Well, you could still do a donation if you were minded to do so. The point of the event is to try and get other people in, people who might be interested, who might donate more. So I think the events are and they're also a way of reaching out to the community and getting, and for people to come in who possibly cannot pay to attend such things. So I have no issue. I think it's probably a sensible thing to do.
I think we've two sort of different proposals here, aren't we? One is that we reject it altogether, the other is that we reject the energy element of it, but pay for the kitchen equipment.
Can I?
Right.
I'll make a formal proposal then that we pay for the kitchen and not the energy. Formally proposed.
Okay, a vote on that. And against?
So what does that mean?
We reject
We're not getting anything.
Right. Okay.
Philip, it's me.
No. Yeah. Oh yeah.
That doesn't mean we give them nothing. We haven't voted on giving them.
Oh, not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet, not yet,
Sorry,
not yet,
stay
not
on.
yet, not yet, not yet.
Stay out. We haven't voted on giving them nothing. We voted on not giving them
Okay.
the energy.
So we need an alternative proposal.
I propose we refuse the grant.
Okay. Can we
Second
vote on
it.
that then?
Vote. Right, no money.
No, we just needed to vote on it.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
absolutely.
So we're on number 10, I think.
So we're into.
Can I ask a question? Are we in private session?
No.
No.
So as it's being recorded, and that means it will be available to the public,
No, it won't, it won't.
it won't.
No, I just cut it out.
This part will be cut out.
No, sorry, no. We're not in private session, no, it won't be cut out.
No, okay.
So this video will be available publicly.
Yeah.
That being the case, why couldn't we be part of, or anybody who's, involved, to listen, to hear,
Because you didn't
to
vote.
speak actually,
Because
but
it-
not to vote?
Because it's in the rules.
Because you,
Understandable.
it's on your DPI, and therefore it would be entirely inappropriate for you to be in the room when it's being discussed. Because even if you were in the room in silent, you're an influence.
Okay.
That's
It
what
could
we
affect
want.
how somebody feels they might vote.
Something to discuss
on your
continuing
You know how I say.
Right, so we've come to the end of the assets. So obviously there's a couple that there's 3 that we've written down as proportions, but at the moment there's 26,681 left in the assets pot. 26,681. Yeah, of course. But there are three that you haven't decided how much to give yet. Skulls Cricket, Homley Village Tree Works, Petworth Band.
So this, sorry. go on.
So should we make a decision on those now?
Yeah.
Otherwise it's going to get
Yeah.
I'm proposing that we do that.
I second that.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. So the 3 that we have to make a decision on the percentage then?
Yeah.
is what we're
Well,
talking
not necessarily a percentage, it could be an amount. It would probably be easier
Well-
for me if it was an amount. To be honest.
We can't be asking him to do big sums.
Can I propose Jenny's suggestion of the round disability bench? Well, £800 was in school last year.
Yeah, something like
They
that.
does the bench for the accessibility
Okay,
round bench, and that's all we fund for that.
Yeah, I'll second
Yeah.
that.
You alright with that?
Yeah.
You need to put your hand up then. Come on there.
2.
Hang on, let me find the actual amount.
How much is it, Jenny's
Oh,
got
it's
it?
a long way to roll back.
870.
How much, what? How much was it? 800 and?
Hold on, let me search it.
851.07.
851.
851.07 pence.
52.
Yeah, round it
But
up.
we'd like you to work that out, including the 7 pence that are proportion. What's the next
Okay, the
one?
next one is Magdale Tree Works.
My suggestion was we paid half of the tree works, which was £4 grand.
Shall we vote?
Yeah. Half?
You voting,
Did-
Jenny?
did- Was it £4 they asked for, not 5 grand?
Yeah,
I
it was
got-
five.
I got
It was,
£5 now.
But the total was 8,800, so we're still giving them
We're giving them half. Well, we're giving them 4.
You're giving them 4.
Yeah,
Half of the 8, not.
Oh, I see, half of the 8. not
Ask
half
for
the
five,
eight.
so give them four.
Okay, okay, okay.
What was the last one?
The
And then the
last,
last one was
the last one was,
Andrew for him.
Edward
Edward
Family,
No, you say two.
they asked for,
5. I think half.
You Mark's been proposed and seconded, Chair. Are we
Half.
voting?
Yes.
Yeah.
Half.
And look at this again, look at this, huh?
so there's 19,329 left in that pot. There's obviously 4,007 in the other pot, so we've got about 24,000 quid. So that's more than the original budget of the entire year. So.
It's more than that.
Sorry, you lost me.
With 24 of the young figures left.
There's 24,000 left if you buy it, which is more than you had in the budget to start with at the start of the year, so it's a lot of money.
In that line of the budget.
In that line for projects.
I don't know, if we were to grant all of them though, it would be more than 24.
Yeah,
So we're still in a position where
yeah.
we have to.
You'll have to be critical.
So,
Sorry.
Do we need a motion now to decide how much we're going to
Yeah.
from one
Yeah.
heading to the other?
Do we do that now?
I wouldn't have thought so.
No,
We'll get to the end.
Well, that's at the end.
You might as well do it at the end and what you need to buy.
If we find out it's not just a
until we go over, so we might have to go over after the minute.
Okay, I think we're on,
Can I just say that,
Sorry.
that we can then, there is enough money, if they meet the criteria, there is enough money to meet them, so we're judging them on the criteria rather than, well, anything else, it should be the main thing
Yeah, that's
that
what
we're
we're
judging
doing.
them on.
That's
You know,
what we're
there
doing.
is enough money there if we want to give it.
Of the ones we're about to do, we've got
Yes.
enough to give them if we choose to.
No, we're still
I
short.
think we have, you know, if you said, well, I totted them all up and it came to about 17,420.
17,920,
Yeah, it's probably about.
20,
And we've got 24,000.
So we have got
So
enough to
we've got
give.
enough.
If we want to,
Okay.
if we want to, everybody.
I'm not
can
saying we
if
should.
to.
But we shouldn't be saying we're short of money, the money is there,
Yeah.
and so we're judging them on the criteria.
Yeah.
Okay?
Councillor White.
So let's
Can I just clarify? Sorry, I may have missed it. The tree works,
Yeah.
we've agreed to give half
4, yeah.
No,
Well, just
4,000.
4,000.
instead of 5.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
It's half of the overall budget.
Yeah, yeah,
rather than,
yeah.
Okay, we can move on then, I think we're on the 10.
Yep.
First Book Festival.
Can I comment on this? I have done a bit of research on these grants, and I actually think this is a very good thing. It's good for people's mental health reading, it's good for people's education, which everybody in the Labour team will love. I think that it's
As opposed to mental health, which if I could be in Labour isn't good for your mental health.
well, it is if you're a farmer, but personally I do struggle with it, but you know. So I think it's a good thing. It's something that encourages people in the valley to do loads of like good book launches and stuff. So I think we should approve it. They're not asking a lot.
The only things I've sort of noted is we haven't let any real financial details from them.
No, I think they're very new, aren't they? Essentially.
They're well given the gap before. And I suppose the other thing is, who's going to financially benefit from this? Is it just we? Or is it the general public?
I
Is
think
it both?
it's mostly
It's Reed that are behind it, isn't it? Yeah.
It says it's a CIC, I think.
Yes, it is. And they're not all from Reed. I think there's a couple of them are from Reed, and there are a few people who are not. Some of the directors are not.
if you think about World Book Day or whatever, I think it will benefit the community and also people outside of the Home Valley as well. Because Homefirth is well known for doing good events, because you do get people from, Preston and whatever and whatnot.
I think it's nice if we encourage
Yeah.
new events and not to the harm. Not just support the established ones. Councillor, Councillor Black.
Yeah, I think this is one of those sort of wider knock-on, if you like. It's not just about what it's doing, it's about its wider implications, really. And it's new, and it's linking with existing stuff, etc., etc.
Councillor Black?
I was just going to propose that we give them what they're asking for.
Okay. Number 11, Holmley Business Association. Holmley Open Gardens. We have given them grants of 15,930 in the past. We've got reserves of
But that's for a lot of different things.
Yes.
I mean, they apply for members of the community then. They don't just apply for the businesses themselves.
I think in the past as well, we did wonder if they were making money from this, but I couldn't find anything in their accounts that suggested they were getting a bucket of money from it. So
They've got 30,000 reserves, so a lot of it's sort of earmarked for things anyway. Their total cost is 5,500 and they're asking 1,000 from us.
It is an ambitious thing. I mean, they lay on transport to the outlying gardens.
That's what they're asking us to fund, is the transport. I've got 1,500 on this piece.
It's 1,500.
is that it?
Is
No, it's about 1,000. So it's 1,000.
No, they
do make money though.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
I've
I've written that down wrong. It's 1,000 on
You're on the parish council agenda.
No, I know that's wrong. I'm talking about their paperwork. No, it's 1,000.
Oh, I know.
They're asking for Can I propose we give it to them?
All in favour? Thank you.
Yeah, that's a mistake.
So we'll all be able to get a bus up to your garden
So
and
it's 1,000, not 15.
Number 12.
Oh, this is
but they're not making money off it, so the surplus they want to put into another.
The public will be asked to leave if they can't keep it quiet.
She will throw you out.
We have got a lot to get to in fairness. Sorry, Holmfirth Food and Drink Festival.
I personally think we should say no, because 2 years on the trot we've given them money and they've donated to charity. They've been warned, they've done it again, they've lost a sponsor, appreciate times are hard. Just, that's not my problem, you broke the rules. The rules were don't give the money to charity, it's council money, if you've got a surplus it needs to come back, that's the rules.
And if they haven't given it to charity, they'd have the reserves not to need the sponsor.
I sort of view these as quite positive in some senses. Complete opposite to this book festival. They are an established festival now.
Yeah.
They don't need us anymore.
Yeah.
And they're demonstrating that because they're giving money to charity. That's great. But that's the time when we can
Back off.
walk away from it and give it to someone else. Yeah,
So that's my proposal refused.
If
I'll
you
second that.
Thank you, Pat. Broke the rules.
Okay, thank you. Number 13, the Waldale Community Group. This is for rent and new games equipment. They have had £2,000 from us in the past, similar to everybody.
Are they going to need the rent every 6 months then?
They've got the grant sum of £272 in reserves, but that's allocated for rent anyway. I think they're a very much hand-to-mouth organisation.
Yeah. If you remember when we gave them a grant for tables, remember last time, and they very much said this is the one that's important to them. If they could have one grant, they would have ignored the tables and just got this because it's what keeps them afloat, basically.
I do think we should approve this based on the fact that there isn't great like mother-baby groups, like someone who suffered from postnatal depression, you do need people around you when you're like quite isolated. Wooldale isn't massively out of Home Firth, but it's far enough out of Home Firth to be quite an isolated place.
Especially if you've got a young baby,
You know what I mean?
transport.
I know it's well attended, it's opposite where the son lives, and they are busy. I think they do a good job.
I propose we give it to them.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So the fund,
Can I just make a point? I don't know whether you want to consider kind of potential rolling grants as you go, or
Yeah, I mean, if they are always going to need the rent,
they've applied for the same thing the last 3 years.
yeah, we should let them do the truncated application.
do we need to vote on that, or?
We just asked them, don't we, to apply for the rolling grant. Don't you suggest that, Richard, when you...
I'll give them this grant and then tell them.
Well, no, we can tell them now. It doesn't need another thing. You can just, I can just tell them that they've got a rolling grant and they will fill in the other form essentially.
Okay.
Do we need to vote on that?
We probably should.
Yeah, you probably should.
Just in case.
So 14, Women's Open Token Home Firth. They're a new organisation, we haven't got any financial details. We haven't given them previous grant, this is what we pay the staff. The cost of this is £12.92 and they're asking for £1,092 from us.
I thought it was 1,500.
Says 15. No, it says 1,000 and... Oh no, it says
1,500 on the
Yeah.
agenda.
Yeah, it says 1,500 on the agenda.
On the phone it says 1,092.
Yeah.
They sometimes put two different figures in, don't they?
It's 1,092.
Yeah, I think it's 109 too.
Yeah. I've sort of taken them off the phone.
Yeah.
I don't know who's first, if I go Councillor Rockwood and Councillor Whitelaw.
I think we should give them the 1092 as it is now, because I mean one of our strategic aims is about reaching and benefiting those people in greatest need, and I think this group basically benefits that particular group. So.
Councillor Whitelaw.
Yeah, I mean, I would virtually support this. They're a relatively new group. It's one that has been set up by two women who have really put their heart and soul into it, and it serves a very specific need, but one which is absolutely aligned to what we're trying to do.
Any other views?
I just despair at the fact that they're always at the tech.
That's why
That's
where they feel comfortable. So we go.
I mean, we can't.
Yeah.
I haven't said
I need to go out, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, Friends of Cliff. This is for a VE Day 80th event. We've given money to them before, right? Short of £3,500. I think these tend to be specific events, don't they, at Cliff?
And they give us money back, which is almost unheard of.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh,
They're very scrupulous.
Yeah, they're very scrupulous.
The total cost is 1205, they're asking actually 1055 from ourselves. As somebody that's been to most of the events, I actually quite like
Yeah, I second that.
Okay.
Someone can tell Mary.
Disappeared, I think.
It's done.
You'll need to go now, Sarah.
Number 16, FA 100. This is running and support for youth project. Previous grants of 4,292. Reserves of £9,086.
I understand where they were has been condemned, basically.
I don't know the circumstances of that. It wasn't very clear, was it? It just said that the had moved from the church.
No, the church had to close. It was
Yeah.
wet and horrible.
Oh,
Yes,
and
health and safety.
too much of a risk for the
Yeah,
church.
risk for the church.
They couldn't make it safe. They couldn't guarantee it safety, I think.
You know, it's probably worth saying that, you know, the Service Provision Committee have a budget of £25,000 for youth provision, they specifically for that. So, you know, this will be definitely on top of another big sum of money that the parish council pays out.
Can I ask? Go on.
And I got that. Councillor Walker.
Do you want to go? No, I'm not precious.
I was just going, yeah, I was going to explain the reason why they had to move. I visited this group because they did have a large grant from Service Provision, which is paying for the youth worker, and it attracts young people who certainly wouldn't go anywhere else. And I would like to suggest that we pay them. We make it a rolling ground.
My problem with this is, other than its new location, is that do they get, how much of the service provision budget do they get? Do they get 25,000 for a youth worker? So why is it not at the civic? Why is it, do you know, like, keeping our own house, I'm only playing devil's advocate, why is it at the tech and not at the civic? Because then,
I suppose we can't choose the venue. Can we?
no we can't, but we're paying for it.
Yeah, but I don't know which room you would watch you. I don't think there's any
The
room
rooms
that
here
the
are
tech
huge.
here would not be suitable. You know, and I think it is about a suitable venue for them, which is one of the things that's wonderful about the tech, that it does have these small rooms and it does accommodate and look after groups in greatest need. You know,
And
so
as we know, you can have a cup of tea.
For free?
Councillor Blackhead.
I mean, the room that they were in at the church was absolutely ideal for this particular group. I mean, this group contains young people who will not go anywhere else, who often rarely leave the house, and the kind of rooms and the kind of welcome that they get at the tech is exactly what they need. And there are no suitable rooms here, so we can't say whether they need it.
Just my concern is that we're paying for a youth service already, and then we're topping it up. Where does the line? I'm only playing devil's advocate, but where does the line? Do you know, if you can't budget for that, what I'm saying is, at some point you've got to cut your cloth accordingly, whether you're a charity or you're not a charity. I appreciate that in this instance they've been asked to find a different location because the location's been condemned. But to make it a rolling grant, I feel like it's you know, in 12 months' time they might be somewhere else because that might not work out.
Well, it doesn't have to be a rolling road.
I think, I mean, in addition to the fact that we give £25,000.
I've got some information I can give, which is, I believe, from correspondence with the director of Kirklees Youth Alliance, that the tech is not yet the permanent home. So on that basis, I wouldn't advise making it a rolling grant yet until they have decided where their permanent home's going
We
to be.
normally give rolling grants if an organisation comes to us twice for the same thing. That's what makes it rolling.
I'm not comfortable.
I think we have the this issue about, we already give quite significant sums of money for youth, which has already been mentioned. I believe going
But
through
they
the
can't
paperwork,
use her salary to pay the rent.
I believe going through the paperwork as well, that it seems they only have 12 regular attendees as well for these events.
But it's a very, yeah, I think it is a very specifically needy group, and I think, I mean, I've been so impressed at the work that was going on in Cafe 100. I thought it was doing an amazing job, and I think that this is responding to maybe a short-term need that they may find somewhere else where they can have free premises in the future. And like you say, you can't take it off somebody's salary to pay for the rent. And, you know, these are, well, you don't want this project to fail. You know, there's a lot of work gone into, you know, and there are a lot of the problems that are created by youth having no venue, you know, that are you know, that the implications of not helping our young people is dire, I think. You know, they're somebody we definitely should be supporting. So I say that we should give this money. I think there is money there, it meets our criteria. I don't understand why we're hesitating.
Is that a proposal then?
That's a proposal.
Or would someone like to second that?
Yes.
And can we vote on that? And against?
Isaac, what are you doing? Are you abstaining?
She's thinking. You're abstaining?
That's out of order, councillor.
I'm just asking.
Your behaviour was out of order, I'm sorry.
Is that an abstention, councillor?
Yeah.
That's an abstention, okay.
And pressure should not be put on fellow councillors about which way they vote in the meeting.
That is fair.
I don't think she was, in fairness, trying to make it vote
no,
one way or
no,
another.
I just meant between
No, that was intimidating and it was out of order.
Well, with all due respect, that's your opinion.
No, I'm asking you to make this formal.
Well, I believe she was just
Asking
reminding
Isaac to whether he's
Because
voting or
you see-
not voting or abstaining, it's completely his choice.
I don't think, in fairness, she was asking you to vote one way or another. Just to vote.
I'll have to think, I might make a formal complaint.
Do what you please.
Can we move on?
It isn't what I please, it's what I think is right. Stop trying to intimidate me as well.
That's a minute for me, we've done all that, yeah, thank you.
Should we get Sarah back in?
So are we voting?
Oh, that's a big carried in. Where have we got to? 17. New Mill Male Voice Choir. This is for a singing workshop at the Festival of Folk. We've given them a grant in the past. The total cost for this is 1,025. They're asking 625 for it. They've got quite a sizable reserve, but then they're asking about half from us.
I think that they asked for something earlier. Did they ask for something last year? And
Yeah,
we suggested that they did this.
Yeah, they asked for something that we didn't really fit in with what we could. They asked for a website, to attract more members, essentially.
Can I say that one of the reasons for the grant that was rejected was about recruiting new members through the website. And this is another way of recruiting members, which I think is more out there in the community and doing a workshop and engaging with people. So I think that this is a grant that we should approve because it supports the festival as well, which brings in, and it's an innovative approach to the festival. It's winding up the scope of the folk festival. So I propose that we.
I think they organise choirs as well as part of our heritage, haven't they?
Yes, exactly. Yes.
I second that. I think that's what we asked them to do, innit, when we said we couldn't pay for the
Website.
publicising membership.
So we're going to approve this one, okay? 18, Only Village Community Trust, and the VE80 afternoon tea. again, we've already said about previous grants, but for various things. Total cost for this one is £800, they're asking us for half of that at 400. Any comments?
Well, I think how great they've made the village hall in Homley, how it's grown to have these annual and community events as an ongoing thing for all different ages. They're meeting a whole range. So it seems like they put in lots of applications, but they're all addressed to slightly different groups.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, if you go to Homley Village Hall, it's just got a lovely community feel to it now. So I would say yes, we
This is, sorry to, this is the one where you were confused about the amount, because they have said two different figures. It's 450 at the top and 400 at the bottom.
It says
Yeah.
450 here.
450
Yeah, but when
there,
it says at the
and
bottom,
400
total
there.
amount requested, it says
Yeah, that's changed and that's changed. It's all a bit of a...
it's a bit unclear.
Can I move that we approve it though, because we've approved the
Yes.
one in Home Firth, it's only fair to approve the one in Homler.
Yeah.
It's just a sum, isn't it? And
Yeah.
it's only £50, so perhaps some clarification from them.
I think just give them one or the other. Just give them, surely just give them the 450.
Oh,
It
I
says
see.
450.
Just I think, yeah, the principle is to be approved this.
Yeah.
Yes.
yes.
All those in favour of that? Thank you.
Just on that, Chair, the climate change statement is just woeful, I think. We really should be expecting people to do decent climate change statements. There's always something, if you say it's not more or less, if it's not applicable.
Do you want me to
I'm
feed,
not suggesting we take any.
do you want me to feed that back to you?
Yes, please.
Well, I've got
Yes.
50 quid off you.
Resubmit on climate statement, or
Give
you
them
can't
four-
have your money.
400, that's it.
I wouldn't go quite that far.
There's some suggestions as to how they can address the climate. Yeah.
We could have a
Or
look
shall we
at
put
some of the
that?
others.
Number 19, Holmfirth Forward. This is for a promotional video. They have reserves of £5,210, no paid staff. They have had a grant from us before. Was this for the sign?
The signs and the.
Yeah, they've had a few,
Brackets.
we paid for a map as well, a business map.
I thought we said no to that business map of Home Firth.
We eventually did.
Say no.
We paid for the first printing, I think.
So the total cost of this is £950 and they're asking for £950.
Can I ask why we're paying for this and not the business community of Home Firth paying for this? I'm throwing it out there.
Going back to Homley Business Association, when they make all these applications, they're never for one of the businesses or for the shops, or they're always for something, for an activity.
You know, the signs were alright, they made Home Firth look interesting. Not really, but I'm trying to be
I just think, you know, we're a major beneficiary from this, and it's the businesses, isn't it?
Yeah.
So shouldn't they be the ones that fund it? Councillor Blackhead, Councillor Whitelaw.
I don't see why this is needed, really. And there has been just that recent rebranding exercise, hasn't there? So I would suggest we don't give them
I second that.
Councillor Whitelaw.
Can I just say that Councillor Firth raised with me before service provision meeting his concerns about businesses in Homefirth struggling because of the ongoing roadworks. I'm just saying that.
That's the roadworks though.
Yeah, so it's affecting
Jen's
business.
raised the point that was raised.
I know, I'm just saying, it's roadworks.
And obviously the Parish Council does have a tourism, it's not just about business, tourism is the other side of business.
Yeah.
Councillor Whitelaw.
I think I take a slightly different view in that I think that video and visual stuff is actually really quite important in the bigger scale of things in terms of communication, and I would anticipate that this would be something that would be used across social media. It'll be on YouTube, it'll be on, you know, you can name them all, and yeah, this is another one that's for a wider reach. It's not just about Home Firth Forward, it's about the whole community and promoting the whole market.
Well, the things they done before were about shops.
Mm.
It was a map of which shops you could go to. It
Yes,
wasn't
but
that
That's
this
not,
could be a
that's not what this is about.
Right.
It's promoting on
On
purpose
purpose.
for the venue, isn't it? But I mean, the main beneficiaries nevertheless are businesses. It's only £950, surely they can go around the businesses and chip in a fiver each.
Well, except as Jen has just said, the businesses are struggling at the moment, you know, it's not a good time for them. And I do think that this is, you know, it's one of our criteria to promote prosperity and through tourism. I do think it would reach quite a lot of people, so, you know, I don't think it, we've said that there is money there, and if it meets our criteria and we feel to be good value for money, then I don't know why we're turning it down. I think it's definitely worth considering at least.
Just to add that visual communication is massively more reflective than bits of paper and
Than a map and
yeah,
everything.
it is.
So do we have a proposal for this?
We've already had a proposal to refuse and I seconded it.
Oh, I beg your pardon.
Well, I'll propose that we approve it.
Well, if we take the
We've got to
Proposal
vote on
original
the
proposal.
first one first.
first one first is to refuse it.
Okay,
Okay.
refused.
Number 20, Conference Music Association Festival. This is for festival costs and website developments. No previous grants. The total cost of this is £5,000 and they're asking us for £1,500. They have reserves of 5,300. Councillor Lyons.
Even though this is in my favourite location, I would like to suggest we approve it because when I was recently away for a weekend, they had a music festival in Dublin and it was absolutely really successful and really busy with like local folk festival and music artists and stuff, and I think it would be good for the community and the local establishments and people staying for the weekend and encouraging tourism.
Councillor Lyons.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you, and this is a regeneration project really, so this is saying we'll help you get it going again, because it's got a long history actually, music festival, hasn't it, so yeah, I'd be for this.
I think it's nice to plant the seeds of these smaller
Mm.
startups, isn't it? And hopefully they get to a point where
It was brilliant in Ireland. They did like loads of different music genres, different weekends and whatever. It was brilliant. I think it'll be great.
okay, so we approving this one? 21, Malyanka CIC. This is for 4 workshops to support organisations delivering community benefit, as we heard from Doug's.
So we need to leave. I was going to leave. I've been waiting for Stoke to leave. I was going to follow her out. I know I could stay, but I don't want to influence people.
Sarah to leave.
Could go really well.
Yes, you could.
Given previous grants to them.
No, he said in his 3-minute thing we'd never given them a grant.
No reserves other than 5k in restricted funds. The total cost of this is 2462 and they're asking £1,500 from ourselves. Anyone want to start this one off?
Well, it is getting increasingly hard to raise money from vessels, I know. I think this is in a way future proofing because it is giving people from local groups the skills and the abilities to make good funding applications. So I think it's growing the skills of the community, growing the skills of groups, and the funding is pretty cut through. So I feel it's, yes, it is giving money to one organisation, but then there will be the spread out from that of the skills acquired so I feel we should give it what they're asking for.
Councillor Hall.
I think it will probably mean that we have more applications for grants, which I think is a good thing, because, you know, that's one of our key ways in which we are effective in the community, is by supporting all the different local groups, and that's how, you know, that they're going to be encouraging more and more applications for us, which I think is, in many ways, they're doing our job for us, I think, to some extent.
Chair.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
I'd better wait for Sarah to come back in.
Yeah, wait for
No, move standing orders to.
Yeah, but Sarah's not in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah, vote on this and then
Yeah,
get a
just finish this
and
one.
then vote on it.
Councillor Barney.
I was going to say that my only year with this sort to be the devil in the corner, but because the Valley's anchor, they not only cover Home Valley, they also cover Combe Valley.
Mm.
So if we give this money, fortunately, is all the resources going to be staying in the Home Valley, or is it going to be more into the Combe Valley than to the Home Valley?
I wonder, sort of on that line, it's giving a grant for someone to tell others how to
Because there is other anchors.
ask for another grant.
Because
It's not going to the actual.
No, that's not the point that Isaac's making. Doug said he was
Yeah.
about
It's similar.
half of his work in the Combe Valley, not in the district.
So it does clearly state in the application, you know, the question who in the Home Valley will benefit, it does clearly state that the places on the funded costs will only be available to projects operating in the area.
That my point was that you're giving funding for someone.
To apply for a grant.
No, not directly though, are we? It's
Yeah,
going to be someone else that applies for a grant, maybe, we don't know.
Yes, exactly. We're educating the valley to be able to apply for grants.
It's filling the groups, and that's
It's
one of our
spreading
one of our strategic priorities is supporting local groups, the rich tapestry of local groups as we have it. So it seems to me bang on with our strategic priorities. And the needs will only increase.
It is a CIC as well, or paid staff, so an element of what we give goes to salaries.
As it does with the grants.
I propose we support it. Well, Mary's already proposed we support it. I second Mary's proposal.
We voting on that?
Hmm?
Okay.
No, against?
Oh, you can't.
Your casting vote.
Then I'll vote against.
You know you don't have to use your costume vote if you don't want to.
Was the motion on the that they would get it all?
Still went to doing nothing.
But that doesn't mean you should be nothing.
Right, let's go. There's a motion to say
That's what I'm suggesting.
Well, maybe we should.
someone needs to propose that.
You may have to go out again.
Before you do that,
Before you do that, we need to move standing orders to run over time. Are you in favour?
No.
Yeah, sorry, maybe a point of note. It wasn't, we did vote on giving them all of the money, rather than a portion of the money.
I mean, for me, I'm happy.
Carry on with motions as we decrement.
I'm happy to have I don't know what you call it, an amendment to that that says we give them a portion.
Well, I propose we give them 2/3 of what they've asked for.
Okay, seconded it and voted on that then. So it'd be just the same.
Yeah.
process.
No.
Against?
I have a proposal.
Well, we'll go on.
Yeah, finish this bit, finish this bit.
Right, so it's on your casting vote for this.
Then I'm against again.
What's your proposal, Isaac?
We don't pay the wages.
Well, that is what they're asking
Oh,
them.
We don't
There's a
know
venue
the
hire,
portion, do we?
Pardon?
there's a venue hire,
We
Right.
can pay venue hire and stuff.
and there's refreshments,
So what's the venue hire and refreshment?
30 quid, and the venue is 252.
First session.
No, for all 4 sessions.
No, it's
too.
four sessions.
So when you say
Oh, sorry, sorry, my proposal is we don't pay the salary, but the,
Do you mean not the trainer fees and not the anchor time? Is that?
But how is he going to run it without being paid though?
but that's the fun money elsewhere.
Although I get that, but I don't know if it.
I'm not sure we have enough information to be able to do that.
well, we've got enough information to give them nothing.
Yes.
We've got enough information to give them 270 quid.
Yeah.
If we want to. It's just a,
280, say 300.
could we round it up to 300. I don't
600.
know whether it's any use. I mean, I don't think it'll save the scheme.
No.
I think we lose this if we don't give the money to it, but that's what we voted for, so.
I think we should do with the original.
Okay.
Right, okay.
I've done it. I'm not sure what it is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
23. Only village community trust. Total cost £432.50, they want £220.
No, you just,
You
this
missed one.
project community down.
Yeah.
I beg your pardon. Yes. Sorry, 22 project communities. Sports camp for SEND children.
So I did contact, what's it called, Anthony, because there was no mention of the Home Valley in the application. I don't know whether you read it, but he said, sorry for it not being clear. It will be for all SEND Home Valley children. So all of the children being talked about are Home Valley children.
Councillor Lyons.
I think we should approve this because it's sports, children, send children. It's, about activity, healthy people organise things in the school holidays. It'll help with childcare provision, So I think it's a good thing.
Councillor Blacker.
Well, my only reservation was that I wasn't sure about the location or which children, but I think that's been answered. So I propose we pay them what they're asking.
I think my only reservations are that they're quite a big organisation, clearly, aren't they? They've got reserves of £71,000 and they've got 13 paid staff. So, how much support do they really need from us?
So, have I understood correctly that there's been additional information that's specified who this is directed at? Because that certainly
Yes.
is my question.
Yes. We have given them in the past, haven't we? 3
Yeah, they put on sports events for girls, I think, which was well supported in the service provision committee.
I don't think you can knock the cause, can you? Councillor Blacker.
Well, it is to put on a specific set of sessions, isn't it, really? And I think we all know that about how woeful is the provision for SEND children in general and how much reduced it is, so I think we should pay them what they're asking.
That's a proposal.
Yes, seconded.
We really are on 23 now. Polly Village Community Trust, Easter afternoon tea for 3 to 11-year-olds. Total cost of £132.50, and they want 220 from ourselves.
Yes, yes.
Friends of the Law, ended inside. Hornley Village Community Trust again, Easter Crafting Workshop. Total cost of £120 and they want £130.
Bullies.
Yes.
Yes.
And the last one, where I will have to go.
You're chairing this
Acting
now.
chair.
Okay, so, I'm lost it, where are we? The Hepworth Hurricanes, the 1,500 towards netball coaching. Does anybody have any views, opinions, proposals, suggestions?
I think it gets people fit and healthy.
You think it gives people?
It gets people fit and healthy.
Any other?
I think they were quite inspirational at the big celebration.
Yeah, they were very good at the big celebration.
And obviously they're sports for young girls, children.
Yeah.
Fits with lots of
Councillor
different
Blackie,
roles.
have you?
I was just going to say exactly the same as Richard said, and I would propose that we
Yeah.
should.
Is there a seconder for that? All those in favour? That's passed. So Andy can come back in.
Okay, that's all.
Yeah, we've done it.
How does that leave us with?
About 8,000, about 8,000 quid. I wonder whether it's worthwhile working out which one, because I can obviously tell some people now what they've been awarded, up to 4,702 quid. Is it worthwhile identifying 3?
Can I just ask how long you had to delay telling the others for?
Well, until after full council.
Which is
24.
24. How quickly do you usually let people know?
We usually let them know in the next few days.
Okay.
Sorry, I think it would be fair to just let them all know at the same time.
Okay, yeah.
Otherwise,
Okay.
it's not too long to wait, is it?
No, it's, when's the next full council? Not far off.
No, it's
After the 24.
24th January.
I mean, do people get in touch with you and say, I understand you don't have the third, so or is it worth sending out an email to everybody saying,
Well, probably.
it looks like you've been successful, but you'll get final confirmation on the
I don't like looks like you've been successful.
Okay. The final decision will be made on the 24th.
Do you mean I'm not telling anybody, including the assets people, even though we know there was money for those?
Just tell them, well, they'll probably watch it on video, won't they? Well,
Yeah.
just
I
actually
suppose
wait.
the problem is if you tell some and not others,
No,
they're going to.
just don't tell
Just
anyone.
don't tell anybody.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, okay.
Otherwise
That's fine.
it's just-
I won't tell anybody.
Okay. Nothing more to say on the finances part of it then?
No, we've got another grant application later on, a rolling grant for the CCTV. That I've already calculated it in the figures.
Okay, what have we got to? Item 100, chairs expenses, is that right?
Yep.
Chairs expenses, budget is £1,000, the expenditure so far has been £30 ticket to the Lions and a donation of £500 to the Full Life Church Food Bank. £170 in there.
So obviously Councillor Colin will have the option of what she wants to do with that over the next few weeks. Make sure it's spent before the 31st though, remember, can't roll it over.
Okay.
Obviously you can make donations with it.
I'll go on as members.
Item 101, schedule of payments. So we noted the finalised schedules of payments.
Noted.
And we're considering approval of the month-to-date schedule of payments for February 2025.
Yeah, so there's only one you're actually approving, which is the Redback, the rebrand costs of £1,260.
I propose to approve it.
Okay.
Okay. There's a lot of action there, Councillor. You just do that again, that wasn't a lot of people doing
I am only going now.
Item 102, financial statements. To note accounting summaries
Noted.
for November, December and January, and RFO to report.
Yeah, I don't think there's an awful lot of point in reporting. I think it's more sensible that I report when we're doing the budgets and the earmark reserves, which is a bit later on.
And part 3, to consider, as per the guidance, we must approve bank reconciliations.
So as we discussed, Councillor, earlier, I think we should do it as three motions for the months of November, December and January. Don't bother going through all the lists, because they're never different, so it's kind of pretty pointless really.
If it makes people feel a bit more comfortable, I have been through them all, and they do balance.
Yeah, and obviously if you find something that doesn't balance, that becomes an issue, yes.
So can we approve those then,
Yeah.
please? Oh, councillors to review the income and expenditure report for month to date February. With notes from the RFO.
Yeah, I don't think there's been an awful lot of change since we last discussed the kind of big problems we had with the budget because of all the money for the civic and so on and so forth. I don't think anything more problematic has particularly appeared since then, so we're kind of still where we are then. I suppose we're aware that we're getting an election, so we know that that money's going to be spent next year.
Yes. Will that still come out of next year, despite it being in this year?
Yes, that's kind of what we agreed.
Yeah. Okay. So can we approve those, please? Earmark reserves. I don't really think there's a...
Yeah, there's not really. Is there anything worth saying?
I was just thinking of the general point. I wondered whether it was worth asking the chairs of each committee to give us an update on these earmarks. Where are we with them? Are they still active? Just a bit of an update. So perhaps for our next meeting we can have a better look at them.
We can do that.
Item 104, tenancies. To note that we've had to repair the damaged wall. To note the tenant is now paying a rent of £350 a month on the outside shop unit. Can we note please?
Yeah.
Internal control checks, 106. To note the third quarter of the financial year is now over. Parish Council will be arranging to meet with Councillor Lyles to undertake the internal control checks. Councillor Lyles to report.
Sound we're a bit random, but I think it's because Richard had a brain cold.
Yeah, I made so many mistakes in December. It was a bit of a debacle, to be honest. Didn't cost the Parish Council any money, but yeah, it was not my.
It demonstrates the worth of doing it, doesn't it? I mean, anybody can make mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah, normally I spot them before Rich warns me, but I think there were that many in December.
Well, the trouble is, because we had two bank accounts, and you have to change have to change the default bank account, and I didn't, so you can't just, you have to reverse all the things you've done, so it was all a bit disastrous.
Okay, item 107, banking, Unity Trust, to note the name signatories. So we've only got Councillor Dixon who wasn't able to.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Is that an ongoing issue?
Well, no, I just need to speak to them, and I think they just need to I think it was the same problem that you had, remember, where you had to phone them up and they just reset it over the phone, rather bizarrely.
I mean, from my point of view, it seems to work well.
Yeah, I think we'll just, let's discuss it in the next meeting, or have a proper sort of review of it.
To note, the RFO Deputy Clerk has set up direct debits from the Unity Trust. Can we note, please? The company which delivers our photocopying service has been bought by another company, so we're approving setting up a new direct debit for Angular Tech Document Logic.
It is going to get more expensive, we should warn that the price is going to about double. Well, it was 20, we had a minimum payment of 25, and now it's 45.
Okay.
And we very seldom use £45 worth.
Can't get out there.
Make it worth your money now, not to print stuff on.
Do we need to approve that?
Just please,
To note, in October, the Deputy Clerk has set up standing order for time in, time out media and artwork for the annual subscription, annual subscription. And to note, salaries and pensions are no longer paid as standing orders. Noted. Rolling grants. To approve the rolling grant agreement of Holney Business Association to fund the Holney CCTV network. This is 1,560 for the term of council. Is there anything to say about this one?
I propose we approve it.
Okay. We've covered item 109. Item 110, financial records for the website. To note, the financial records for November, December and January have been added to the website. They will be added once the bank statements have been received. Can we note, please? Item 111, publicising the work of the Home Valley Parish Council. Consider recent events or news that this committee wishes to publicise via the press. Parish Council has social media.
Maybe put on about the allotment changes for the herbicide, pesticide stuff, and put on that the grants will not have an answer till the end of the month.
That's all I know.
You took the words from my
Communication is key, isn't it?
Certainly, grants, I don't know if it's the appropriate time for that.
well, I think we'll have to do it after council, rather than,
I think that is it. Thank you very much.